Hi, I am Anna Martin, and this is the Flex podcast. How very exciting. Just putting my hand cream on so that I'm prepared mentally and physically for the moment. Basically, today we're going to talk about working from home and just some of the stuff that we can do to stop it ending up like one of those days where we basically just don't do anything in terms of moving our body and looking after ourselves. Because I know that it can feel a little bit trickier because you don't even really have to walk far to get a drink, do you? Let's be honest, especially not if you live in a compact environment. So the first thing that I try to do, and that I know a lot of my clients try and do when I am having a working from home day, is having a daily commute, as it were. So I like to walk to the garage and back at the end of the road to get a little fix of caffeine for ready to start my work, which means I get about 2,000 steps in, I reckon, on the way there and on the way back. Adds up to 2,000 steps, which isn't bad for a little quick, I don't know, less than 20-minute walk down there and back. So that then sets me up. So then I've got what I want. So I've got my caffeinated beverage, got my water on my desk, I'm set up, and it makes it feel a lot more productive already. I'd say as well, if you have like a normal lunch break, rather than kind of flexi hours or whatever, so make sure you do take a little bit of your lunch, even if it's like 15 minutes, just to get out, get some air, or to do something like one of my stride it outs or something that don't get you sweaty, so you're completely fine for working, but just so that you're getting a little bit more movement before work, on your lunch, and after work. So it might be that you're able to go to the gym or something, or go to a class in the evening, which is fantastic. But if, for example, you're not doing that evening and you're working from home all day and then staying at home all evening, that can feel like a lot sometimes. So having that bit in the morning, bit after work, and bit at lunch, so it's broken up a bit, and you've also then got that mental flexibility of, yes, I have changed scenery and I don't feel quite so trapped in my living environment. Another thing is to get up and move around during the day. So I'm sure you're very well aware of where your productivity lies in terms of like bursts of work that you can get done. And I know that if I'm really into something, I can sit down and focus and get that nailed. But I need physical tasks to break up my day. Otherwise, I feel twitchy, I end up not concentrating very well, and I'm not very effective, which, to be honest, means that then I'm wasting time. Let's be honest. So I'd rather get my work done, be productive, and then I don't have to do it anymore, rather than sit here staring at the screen because I can't sit still. So you need to kind of know yourself in terms of what works for you. So I like to have bits of housework that I can spread out. Excuse me. And they don't need to be things that are going to take up any length of time. I just need to break up my day. So even if it's literally putting the washing on, or the other day I was like, I really want to use this new cleaning stuff on the hob, which is going to take like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, let's be honest. But it just meant that I had tasks that I can spread out, so it's something physical to help me refocus when I sit back at my desk. Depending on the type of work that you've got, like they say a lot on all these websites that give you assistance on working from home to plan your very set fixed work times, which probably works for like most of you because you need to be logged onto a system or something between a certain time to prove that you're working or something, maybe. I don't know how it works for everybody. I know we're all very different. But for me, having those, if I said to myself, I'm only going to work 9 to 5 ever, I wouldn't have any work because people obviously want to train outside of that and come to classes outside of that. So I need to have fixed work blocks that I decide on that day, but that they might start earlier than your normal working hours. So today is 8 o'clock. I've been working for about 45 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. That I'd prefer that. So now I'm going to sit down. I'm going to be really productive this morning, get as much done as possible. And then to be quite honest, I'm going to fuck it off for a couple of hours and go out for a walk, maybe walk on the treadmill at the gym before I start working at 2 at the gym from 2 till 6. So I would infinitely rather get in when I feel productive and creative and do the stuff that I need to do before I'm actually technically starting work, so that I can have bigger breaks in the day. So obviously it depends how your work environment works and what time they're requiring you to do. But I personally find that if I'm feeling productive, I need to just get it done, because that feeling isn't going to last particularly long for me. So it's better to sit in, crank it out. And also, I'm way more motivated if I know that once I get this done, I'm finished, or I'm finished sitting here, for example. So if you have that kind of job where you can be like, right, I really need to do this, this, and this, and then I'm going to go and do something physical, and I'm going to go and move a little bit. Maybe I can take a couple of calls while I'm walking or something like that. They're the kind of things that maybe our brain works better doing. And obviously, if you're self-employed like me, you have that flexibility to do it. But I know that some of my clients do have that flexibility with work as well, in that they can book calls in when maybe they want to not be sat down and would need to be talking about things and that kind of stuff. Excuse me, I'm going to have a drink. Off the caffeinated beverage I just got from the garage. And then that comes on to like food as well. So just because we're working from home doesn't mean we need to eat like a teenager who's skiving school. So we still want to eat decent stuff that's going to help us feel good and feel productive. So plan your food, and if you're able to make the most of having some kind of lunch break, I'd say like try and make something that you couldn't normally have if you weren't working from home that day. So like I try to pick stuff that's like 15 minutes to cook, all in one pan, so I don't end up washing up loads and loads of stuff after as well, but still really full of nutrients and all that kind of jazz. But it makes it feel really nice. I'm having a hot lunch or a like prepared lunch rather than eating something out of a Tupperware. Like it feels like a bit of a privilege, if I'm honest, to be doing that. Water on your desk and refilling that is also a really good excuse to get up. So obviously you want to try to move a little bit during the day, which I know isn't possible if you're on back-to-back Zoom calls. I know it's not possible. But sometimes we can be like, right, I need to get a coffee or I need to get a water. So I'm going to walk downstairs or walk into the kitchen to get this done. In terms of your nutrients, one of the reasons we want to eat such a large variety of different foods and make sure that we're still eating well is because a lot of the things that we eat will help with our productivity and focus. So you've got for your vitamin D, which obviously is handy if you can get outside for a bit, especially during the summer months, but also from things like salmon and red meat. You've got omega-3s, salmon, nut seeds, that kind of stuff. Magnesium, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and vitamin C from your fruits and stuff like strawberries, kiwis, peppers, broccoli, that kind of stuff. Zinc, red meat, poultry, and then beans and all that jazz. And your B vitamins from like red meat, poultry, beans and stuff, leafy greens, fortified foods. So these are the 6 things. So it's omega-3, vitamin D, magnesium, B vitamin, zinc, and vitamin C. These are 6 of the things that are going to help to make you feel more productive and better focused. So we don't just want to be thinking, Joe, I don't have any time. I'm so busy. I don't have any time. I'm just going to eat 2 pieces of bread from the kitchen. There's nothing wrong with 2 pieces of bread. They're great, but we need to try to include other stuff because long term, we're not doing ourselves any favours by scrimping on taking the time that we're getting paid to have a lunch break on. Like you think, oh, I'm being such a good worker because I work through my lunch break and, but then you might get a bit bitter. And 2, you're also not fueling yourself well enough to make the most of the productivity and the skills that you have. So it's a bit like training. We need to eat well to help fuel our training. That doesn't mean there's no point training if we don't eat well, but it means that we'll get better results if we eat well. And it's the same with work. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying that because you didn't have a good lunch that you may as well just jack off the afternoon and not bother working. That's not it at all. But if you eat well, you're going to be more productive. You get more work done and then you finish earlier, or, get other work done, which means you can finish earlier another day, or slip in extra breaks so you can do a bit of housework and still get all your work done. I think these are the things like we need to be able to think long term is going to benefit me more to fuel myself better on these working from home days. And it might mean that I feel more energetic to go out and exercise in the evening, for example. So your movement and exercise obviously has a lot of effects on your mental capacity as well and your mental health. So movement, any kind of movement, so exercise and things like walking and so on, increase your motivation by up to 25%, decreases tiredness, decreases stress, and it decreases the perception of your stress. So you'll feel less stress overall, because obviously moving helps to rebalance that for you. But secondly, if something stressful happens, like it all kicks off at work, you are less likely to perceive that stressful act as a high stress thing. You're more likely to be able to say, oh, well, that's really fucking annoying, but oh well, I'll get over it. Let's crack on and try and sort it out, rather than it eating up your entire day and your entire evening and affecting your sleep pattern, all this kind of thing. If we exercise, we are less likely to see something that happens as highly stressful. The vast majority of your week is taken up by your work. For most people, if you're working full-time hours, most of us do between, I don't know, 35 and 50 hours a week, I guess, most people. So that is what it is to survive in the time that we live, and it's just the way things go. But ideally, we'd make it as stress-free, as enjoyable, and as productive as possible. Because if it means that we feel good and we feel happier about it, then that is obviously a benefit, because we're spending so much time doing this. So that's that. I'm going to stop talking, because I thought this would be a nice quick one that you could just listen to while you're doing your quick morning commute of a day. But yeah, to summarise, try to get moving, and everyone's always like, oh, it's really difficult and I can only pop out for a bit. Yeah, but popping out for a bit is better than nothing. My little, whatever it was, 14-minute walk this morning to and from the garage to buy a can of Rainstorm was actually quite enjoyable, to be honest. A little bit of sun came out. It was just gave me a little bit of a break before I moved from my bedroom to my office. Like, that would have been literally how far I moved, like 30 steps. So it's nice to get a bit of fresh air. Eat well, plan your food, and if you find that you're constantly looking for things like snacks and stuff, plan them in. Buy good stuff, buy things that you know you're going to like but still going to help you with this wanting to be productive stuff. And let's get our shenanigans on in terms of making our working from home feel as enjoyable as it can, and also learning how to make it work for us, because I know that you are working, but there are massive benefits to working from home, aren't there? Let's be honest. I quite enjoy it. I also like being on my own for a few hours. It's very, very lovely. So we make the most of it, we make it work for us, and we can manipulate things a little bit to make it suit us in terms of the things that we're able to achieve with our day that maybe we wouldn't be able to do if we were out of work, in terms of things like housework and organisation and that kind of jazz. Anyway, I'm going to stop and be quiet. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed your morning walk with me.